Welcome to Good Morning Anambra show. Today, 29th May 2023. It's inauguration day in Nigeria. Both the president and the state governors and other elected officials to manage the affairs of the nation in the next 4 or 8 years. And of course, there is this popular saying that soldier go, soldier come, the barrack remains. That means power is transient. No matter how long you hold it, one day you will relinquish it to the next person that will take over from you. And that's why we're here this morning as Tinubu is sworn in as the next Nigerian president. Of course, Nigerians will be expectant of something to change from the old government that have just left the seat. In the studio this morning, we have the honor to welcome to the show John Ifejika, a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much and good morning.
We also have Honorable Ejike Okechukwu, who is a member representing Anochatu constituency in Anambra State House of Assembly. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Good morning, all.
All right. Now, a lot has happened over time, and today we are here to talk about what is going on in the nation, the swearing in, or rather the inauguration of the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, let me start with you. What's your take about what is going on in the nation today?
Thank you. Today, May 29th, every 4 years is a significant day in Nigeria. Whether power is changing from one person to another or changing from one person to the same person. May 29th, every 4 years, comes with a lot of expectations from people, especially if we look back on the past elections and the manner at which the winners emerged, especially during the national and the presidential elections, and the agitations throughout the country. And also, if we look at the past gone administration, the attending hardship, the insecurities across the land, the hunger, and every other negative things that might have happened. So today marks a new day for Nigeria and Nigerians as a whole. Today is a day that new hope is bettered. We all are hopeful that this present government will take Nigeria steps forward, not backward. It's not as if to say that the outgone administration, there were no areas that they performed well. No. They did well in certain areas, but a lot more is still being expected from the new incoming administration.
All right, John, when we talk about the swearing in of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as Nigeria president, which is happening today, we saw in these stories that we've seen so far, the pictures we've seen of Abuja, where we have armored cars all over the place ahead of today's inauguration. What does that actually say of today's inauguration?
Yeah, the armored cars will always be there. The military will always come because there could be counter-insurgents. There could be coup. And that is why the military had to be at alert in a situation like this. But one thing about this one is that right from time, Nigerians never celebrated this victory. Even when Buhari defeated Jonathan in 2015, there was celebration. In some part of Nigeria, people celebrated. Some people said, yes, it's well-deserved because of all this. But in this case, people did not because of what INEC did. And A lot of people were not enthusiastic about what is going on. They were talking about waiting for till the High Court, comes. Nigeria have agreed. The National Assembly would have enacted a law like Kenya did, that we are not going to declare a president until after the Supreme Court has agreed who won the election and the court is settled. But that of Nigeria is sacrosanct. That is 29th of May. And the court will continue to do its job and know what happens after that. So, but if Nigeria have, acted, a law has been enacted, and say, no, it's not going to be so. It will be until the Supreme Court have taken their time, do everything before they now pronounce whoever that is going to be the president of Nigeria. Then it becomes a big question, because we've not seen the Supreme Court turn down, whoever that has been inaugurated in the time past as the president of Nigeria. They've not done that, because there was problem in the time of Shagari, and that was why we have 11 to 3rd, and how many states? 12 to 3rd. Then they said 11 states. It brought a lot of controversy, and now it happened again when Atiku took Buhari to court, Supreme Court, and he has appointed a new chief judge. The new chief judge, they did whatever they did. We could not. Now the same thing, history repeating itself, until Nigeria decides to say no. The lawmaker is a lawmaker, decide to say, we won't agree. Let it be at the time the court decides who will take over. At that particular time, yes, we will now wait. Even if it takes 6 months, after that, the president is inaugurated.
All right, the program is audience participatory. As Tinubu is sworn in as next Nigerian president, the telephone lines are on your screen with which to call. You can also go to our Facebook page to drop your comment on any issue. I know that you must have something as a Nigerian to contribute on the topic we are looking at. Now, Honorable Ejike, you know that before this time, a lot of Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, let me put it that way, they were not happy about the outcome of this election. That even on Friday, I was somewhere, and if we were 10 in that place, 9 people were saying, is not our president, is not our president. But history is being made today in Nigeria that he is the next to be handed over as the president of Nigeria. So what do you see, or what do you tell Nigerians that are not happy with what's played out? And of course, the inauguration is taking place today.
Yes, this is a country that has a constitution guiding the activities of the country. And the Electoral Act gave INEC the mandate to conduct elections and declare winners. That same Electoral Act also gave the candidates that are not comfortable or satisfied with the outcome of the election to approach the courts for determinations. So I believe that no matter what, no matter how aggrieved one may be, we have to allow due process to be followed. We must allow law to take its full course. Yes, when my chief here was talking, he said that I'm a lawmaker, that we will do this. Yes, it's a fact. Kenyans had it in their own constitution or in their own electoral act that within 2 weeks or thereabout of after every general election, the Supreme Court will decide on who is the rightful winner of that election. But it is not so in Nigeria. And everybody that participated in that election knew ever before that it was not so that it is not so in Nigeria. Yes, because the Nigeria Electoral Act made it mandatory that the tribunal, the lower court, has 6 months to determine the outcome of an election, which can be appealed for another 3 months, making it a total of 9 months. That is what is in the law of the land. And we all know before even going into the election. So I believe that Nigeria's democracy is progressing. They won't get it right at all times. But let us not take laws into our hands. Let us watch who knows and who does not know. Maybe the agitation from people may spur the incoming president to work for the people. We're just being optimistic about that.
Okay. Now, John, what's next? Now, today is inauguration, as Tinubu is sworn in as the next president of Nigeria. What next?
Yeah, what I know is that it took Buhari some months before he could make major appointments. But it's not going to be so, because when you talk of smartness, Tinubu is smarter than Buhari and sharper. And I wouldn't be surprised any moment from now he will have named his secretary to the government of the Federation and his chief of staff. Then in the next 2 weeks, he will send the list of those that will work with him as ministers, special advisors to the House of Assembly, to the Senate, and they will now discuss that issue and so on. I believe he's going to be smarter than what we had before, and it will be somebody who will listen, because the outgoing government happened to be a deaf government that never listens and never hear what happened in Nigeria. You see the mayhem that herdsmen caused. You see the way they killed a lot of people, especially in Benue State, and so on. Insecurity everywhere. And the president never mentioned anything. He kept quiet. And you see the one that happened, the train incident on the way from Abuja to Kaduna, and how people were killed. He never mentioned anything. And that is not governance. I think we will have governance that has the milk of human kindness and nature.
Okay.
Tinubu has it.
Okay, now let me come to you. You know, a lot of Nigerians are expectant, even when it is not actually what they wanted. But somebody must be there to do something for the nation. Even on the social media, I saw where somebody said that he has collected the balance in his account with which to celebrate the outgoing administration because he suffered. You know, he said there were hunger in the land. There were, you know, to survive under the outgoing administration wasn't a joke for him. That is one opinion we've had, and so many others in so many other quarters. So, what are your own expectations, you know, for the incoming administration, and of course, the agenda that you have for them?
Honestly, I expect Tinubu to succeed. I expect him to outperform the outgoing administration, because history has made us to understand that whenever a transition like this is characterized with so much agitations and unacceptability, the beneficiaries of such administration or of such incident normally does something to at least win the mind of the people back. This is what I am expecting from Tinubu, to do something within the next 6 months that people will begin to have trust in his government. The major key factor we noticed that was conspicuously noticed in the last administration, at a time it seemed that the president was not in charge. We want Tinubu to take charge of the day-to-day running of this country. We want him to be in charge. We want him to, Chief John said that he is smart. Yes, Tinubu is a very smart man. The only thing that people don't like about him is his age. I think he is aged enough. It seems that Nigeria is practicing gerontocracy, where if you are not up to 80 years, you won't be the president of Nigeria. So, but let him prove us wrong. I expect him to prove us wrong. I expect him to make us eat our words. I expect him to the first thing to do is to try and unite this country. The country is balkanized along ethnic and religious divides. I expect him to unite this country from his first appointment. Let it mark unity. Then the issue of insecurity should be paramount in his administration. He should make sure that there are no sacred cows, that whosoever is found culpable of causing all these mayhems and the insecurity in this country is brought to book with immediate effect. Because if people that are planning towards that angle see that the people that had ventured were punished, they will refrain from doing that. So personally, I want Tinubu to, first of all, tackle the issue of unity in this country. Let him unite the country and let him tackle the insecurity. With that, he can now delve into rebuilding the economy. But if this country is still divided along ethnic divides, if this country is still being grossly insecure within the next 6 months, I don't see any improvement in our economy. I don't see it.
All right, you're watching Good Morning Anambra as Tinubu is sworn in as the next Nigeria president. This is what is happening today in our nation. Inauguration of key officials appointed in the last general election. That is what we are looking at. And we expect you to call as you set agenda for the incoming administration. The numbers are on your screen, and you can also go to ABS Facebook page to drop your comments on what you want the incoming administration to do. All we are asking is for a better and great Nigeria. Nigeria shall be great again. All right, but John, let me come to you. We are trying to set agenda for the incoming administrations. What's your agenda for the incoming administration?
Yes, so to say, the problem, the outgoing deed, I want him to correct all those things. One, nepotism, where you have all the army chiefs, service chief, the chief of army staff, the chief of naval staff, the chief of air staff, the chief of defense staff coming from one geographical area.
Even the IGP.
The IGP, that as his tenure has gone since it's expired.
He's been sacked.
You understand me? He should go. Court have been sacking him. Forget about sacking. So many courts. The one that happened last week was also about the 4th or the 5th court that is sacking him. But the man that appointed him was deaf and was not listening. So they refused to do all these things. Then custom, when he came in, the head, the most senior custom official was from the southeast. He now brought a retired army man and placed on them, which is not done. Custom is a uniform person. It's just like going to a corker to bring a trader to come and become the head of ABS. You don't do that in anywhere. People had to grow on their job. You don't do that. He did all these things, and we tell him that they are killings, yes men, people from your own tribe. He was not listening to them, to people. So this is what Tinubu should do to make sure that there is equality, a little to the left, a little to the right, and center. If Tinubu does this, then there will be total peace, harmony. And you see Nigerians that are against him will turn back again to start praising him. He should make sure that there's equity. And he that must go to equity will go with clean hands.
All right, that will bring us to the next question now. Serap is saying that he should start on a clean note. Declare your assets. And from what Serap has said, that shows us that he has not declared his asset, which he is supposed to declare 30 days before this inauguration. Now, my brother, what's your take on that? Serap saying this on the paper this morning shows that our incoming president has not declared his asset, which he is supposed to declare 30 days before now. So what do you think?
Yes, the Code of Conduct Bureau that is saddled with the responsibility of asset declaration of public officers. If through the president-elect has not declared his assets up till now, then it is a red flag.
And of course, the law states that if he does, there is a penalty, which means that he is not supposed to be sworn in.
Because who knows, he might have done that secretly. Why I said that is because I am a public officer too. Okay. And I know that before I was sworn in, I declared my assets. That was in 2019, and it wasn't public. I quietly went to the Code of Conduct Bureau, picked the form, asset declaration form, filled it, and went to the court.
But we knew when Yar'Adua declared, we knew when the outgoing presidential advice made it public.
It depends on individual.
You're an individual.
It depends on individual. I said that I did.
To come up to say it.
No, I said that I did mine. Probably Selap might have gone to BPE to check whether he has done it or not, because it is supposed to be a public document. If after declaring mine, you can apply for the CTC at the Bureau of Public of the Bureau of what they call it, Code of Conduct Bureau, you can go there, apply for the CTC of whatever thing I declared, and they will give it to you. So probably Serap had gone there and found nothing. So we cannot say until we hear from the Code of Conduct Bureau. I think I said if he has not done that, it is a red flag. But doing it publicly is not a must. He may have done it and they submitted.
You know, I keep saying it, that for Serap to come up to say that means nothing is there, like you said.
No, Serap doesn't work with the Code of Conduct Bureau. They don't.
So how do they come up to say that?
They may decide and say they are not showing anything.
Maybe
now
they are expecting him to do it publicly, forgetting that it is not a law for one to declare his or her assets publicly. But it is a law that you must declare your assets before assuming public office.
Failure, which there are consequences.
There are consequences.
All right, now let's see. The wife of the incoming president came up to say that my family don't need Nigerian money, that God has really blessed them, you know, which means they are not there for the money. So what do you have to say? If you are not here for the money, what do you do?
Now, Atiku, Obi, and Tinubu, as a matter of fact, wouldn't, they are, if any of them had been the president of Nigeria, they are rich.
They are rich.
They are stupendously rich.
The woman said the truth.
She said the truth. 20%.
Let us just see them do it.
20% of the IGR that comes from Lagos State goes to the pocket of the Tinubu's family. Tinubu has an accounting firm that organizes this, and they are paid 20% of what IGR that comes. And no state in Nigeria gets the IGR of Lagos. They are rich, they are wealthy. They are not coming there because of the money, but name. If Obi is the president of Nigeria, Obi too, he will not come because of money. The same thing, Atiku. They are not coming because of money. But what we are saying in the data of Tinubu is those that will surround him, the cabals. After all, Buhari wasn't there because of money, but the cabals took over. So he should be very careful so that the cabals will not take over the whole thing. It's the cabals that are the problem. Now in a place that, because it won't be everywhere, they will come and look at one that is happening in Anambra State now. Thank God a member of the House of Assembly is here. Now the one that is happening in Anambra, governor has given an order that when you get a vehicle, they should go to somewhere and pay 30,000 and be 50,000. But those boys will collect 20,000 from you on the spot and allow you to go. These are the things they have to correct. You understand? Because if you're not there, the cabals are getting richer, and while the government is getting down in terms of revenue. So that's the thing. Every government has cabals that takes over. So governor will not be anywhere. President will not be anywhere with his age.
So what do we do to these cabals? We knew that there was a governor in Anambra State that stood his ground and said no, and he was picked up, which when they wanted to abuse him, they said that you're the one that started kidnapping. So what do we do to these cabals?
You know, the most important thing is being in charge. Okay. Number one thing is being in charge.
Simple.
Like when what I said before now, that my major expectation of the incoming administration is for Tinubu to take charge. Once he is in charge, in Anambra State here, our governor last 2 weeks took the bulls by the horn. He went to Onitsha by himself. He went to Onitsha to have on-the-spot assessment of the Agberos and all those touts that are terrorizing Onitsha and the environment. And arrests were made. People were tried, sentenced. Probably it was not fully on the news. But that is what I mean by being in charge. Yes, the IGR of Lagos State alone, in fact, the annual IGR of Anambra State is less than monthly IGR of Lagos State. 1 month IGR of Lagos.
It's because more than that of a year of Anambra.
Of a year of Anambra. Because yes, for Lagos State to have a budget of 1 point something trillion naira, whereas Anambra is having a budget of 100 and something billion naira. You can imagine it is just 10% of their budget that we are having in Anambra State. So Lagos is rich, and by extension, Tinubu is rich. So what we expect from Tinubu is to be in charge. That's because right. Once he is not in charge, once he relinquishes so much powers to people without guarding them, the most important thing is that he cannot do it alone. He cannot do it alone. He has to appoint ministers. He has to appoint senior special assistants, advisors, and all what's not. He has to appoint every other person. But he should be the one guarding those appointees.
Age.
He should be the one guarding them. And that is why the call for his age comes to question. Because there are things you can do at your prime. And there are things you cannot be able to do when you are of age, when you are aged. But we just believe that he can cognitively still do such things. Simple. Let us just believe that the cognitive aspect of him will take charge and make sure that when, our present governor now, he doesn't just award contracts without monitoring. In as much as he won't be everywhere at all the times. The major thing is the people he should appoint. How decent are they? How because what makes or mars every administration is your appointees. If you appoint people that are of questionable characters, they will ruin you. And once you make such appointments, he should be ready to change the person. Immediately there is something that is established against the person. He should change the person, not minding whosoever the person is. We must get it right. And I believe we will.
All right, it's good morning, Anambra. Looking at the inauguration that is going on today as Tinubu is sworn as the next Nigerian president. You have our phone lines on your screen. Call and make your own opinion count on issues raised here. And of course, you can set agenda. What do you want from the president that is coming in? What actually do you want? So call us on the phone on your screen to make your own opinion count on the issue. Now, we've seen, let's go back to the reality on ground. You know, that a lot of Nigerians, they said no. And when you go out and to the street, you will feel the air is somehow. So what do we tell these Nigerians, knowing that this has happened and the inauguration is taking place today? What's your take? What do you tell the Nigerians that are aggrieved? Because we need to, bring everybody together on the table for the nation to move forward.
Yeah, the Tinubu that I know is a detribalized Nigerian. Now, there's a man they call Nwabweze who works with this outgoing administration in budget.
Okay.
The fair man. Tinubu picked him in Lagos. For the 8 years he was governor, the man worked with him. Tinubu made some Igbos commissioners. Tinubu, in his younger days, I don't know now age, whether old age changes people, I don't know. Tinubu now looks at you that you have the merit to do this. He will pick you irrespective of where you come from, and something like that. A lot of us may not know that the wife, Remi, is not a Yoruba woman. She is from the Niger Delta. I think I know either a Robo or Isoko woman. And that is his person. Joy Bokwe from Newi as being his friend. That's the man who comes into his house at all time and knock, and the gate is open for him. You keep on making him one special advisor or the other, and things like that. So he picks people he knows. If he knows that you will give him this result, it's not after where you come from. Unlike the outgoing one, that we now know that an Igbo man is coming to get this position, he will now bring somebody. Like the one he did when he was sick, he was outside the country. The director of the DSS was appointed from Bayelsa State. He came in, after a while he removed that man and brought somebody from the north. There are things, so many impeachable acts that this outgoing president did that he was not impeached. People kept quiet. We will not see that in the government of Tinubu. Tinubu will not do that. At least Tinubu have some percentage of sanity in him. So we are not going to see all these things.
And so what do we tell Nigerians that?
We tell Nigerians that there will be hope. And with prayers that, it's not yet Uhuru, but with prayers and so on, we'll get there. He's going to lead Nigerians, things will work out fine. He's a man who is sympathetic. He knows what is happening in the market and knows that the price of rice was 8,000 and now it's 45,000. After 8 years that the outgoing government came.
All right, talking about getting it right, do you really think that with the way this election went, that we are getting it right? Do you think so? Because we saw what played out. Every Nigerian were there. You know, even people were questioning that the National Assembly was, the Beavers went and the other Senate went, but the presidential did not go. So people started seeing fault from there, you know, which made Nigerians more angry that they knew what they did, that this election was actually manipulated. So do you think that with this on ground, that we are getting it right?
I think,
because younger ones are watching.
I think commenting on this issue you now raised is sub judice, because we won't preempt the courts of the land from doing their unbiased work that they are doing. Let us not stand here to either applaud or condemn what may have happened.
No, not really condemning. We are talking. John said we will get it right. So
that's what I'm
question.
trying to say. We don't have the way we do now to say whether what happened during the election was right or wrong.
Or we make us get it right
until the court concludes its process. Okay. But getting it right in terms of governance, I think that I'm quite optimistic. I'm hopeful that the new incoming government will try to do those things that the previous government did not do right. Yeah. In fact, if I am Tinubu, the first 10 appointments he will make is enough to assuage the feelings of Nigerians. First 10 appointments. Once it is balanced, you will see people, because our people, we don't hold things to heart for so long. Once you appease them a little, you see them start singing praises for you. What we need is good governance. What we need is food on our table. What we need is jobs for our children. What we need is good quality health services. What we need is qualitative education for our children and all the good things of life.
And security.
And security. Since they can be obtained in the West, why can't we provide them here? We are blessed with natural and human resources. We are blessed with a lot of things that even the West don't have. And they still get things right. Why can't we? Our prayers is for the incoming government to do away with nepotism, tribalism, religious bigotry, and all these divisive tendencies that kept dividing this country, and kickstart a process of uniting Nigeria, no matter from which tribe or religion one comes from.
All right, now getting it right, let me come in this way. We know that recently the UK made a policy about Nigerians coming to study abroad with their families. And there was a video from the UK side to counter what their government said. And they started rolling out the contributions the education sector is gaining from Nigerians that come to study abroad. Now, let's look at it. As Tinubu is being sworn in as the Nigerian government, can we tell this present administration to do something in our educational sector? Because we have a lot of private universities here, a lot of government universities here, but our people still go outside to study. And that money, it's supposed to be coming into the purses of Nigerian government, you know, to turn things around for better for the nation.
You and I know why people go abroad to study.
Even
as close and as poor poor economy as the Benin Republic,
let it be part of the agenda we set for the government.
See our people going there to study because of the instability in our educational system. Our educational system in this country is so unstable that one cannot go to university to study a 4-year course and is guaranteed that he will graduate after 4 years once he or she passes all his courses. Because the ASU may strike, NASU may strike, SANU may strike, and these strikes may take 3 years out of the 4 years that the person is supposed to be in school. And the person will end up doing a 4-year course for 7 years. And what prompted all these things? The level of attachment our government have in education.
Can this administration begin to address
what we are trying to say, if you're talking about setting agenda, listen, education is the fulcrum of every society. If we must go into scientific discoveries, inventions, classical industrializations, we must invest in education. We must at least make 10% of our annual budget dedicated to education alone if we must succeed in this country. Because those research works are expected to be done at the school level, not outside the school. Most researches are done by the schools. Maybe students, postgraduate students, the lecturers, they engage in researches that will turn around the economy of a nation. Once our government come to realize this, not to go and invest in the Ministry of Industry. No. Ministry of Industry will be an offshoot of what is discovered in our schools. They will make it bigger and better. But the nucleus of it has to come from our universities. Once the government knows about this and invest more in education, what are the ASU, the lecturers demanding? Better environment, conducive environment for effective teaching and learning, research, what they call it, grants for them to embark on research, and all was not. Why we still blame the government? We still ask the schools, the management of schools, that once such fund is provided for them, they shouldn't divert it too. Because it is like a double-headed problem. But the major one has to come from government first.
All right, John, I think at this point we'll also look at the health sector in Nigeria as part of what this present administration will be looking at. We remember when the last administration of Buhari took over, you know that part of the first tenure was spent abroad on treatment. And a lot of other big shots actually go outside the country to get their medical attention. So what are you telling the incoming administration as regards the health sector in Nigeria?
Yeah, you know, during the COVID.
And we remember that most of our health workers are going out or have gone out already.
During the COVID,
even the NAD outbreak, I think.
A lot of Nigerians died. Not because they had COVID, but because the time they were supposed to go for checkup, there was no movement all over the world, and they died. It's for us to do what? To equip our hospitals. There is a big lab that is your neighbor here. The man is from Anambra State, Nanka. He had 8, and he had 2 in India. Can you believe that? 2 of that clinic, that lab in India. They give you a report and so on. There are certain things they do, especially when it comes to bone. And once you go for X-ray, they charge 6,000 naira or less than that. But all the teaching hospitals in Nigeria, when they do their own, there's no clarity, they charge you 9,000. When you enter there, you see the serene, that this place is not a Nigerian serene, and things like that. Is for the government to give a marching order to all states to build, to specialize in something. If it's for cancer, let it be. The whole Southeast, let us have one hospital in Onitsha that is for cancer. If it's for bone, let us have one. If it's for sight, let us have one in Kano, because most of them, they go blind there. So they have something like that, and something like that. And ask them, let it be a first class. You know, a boy trained in the US, he came down, a boy I know very well, he stayed in my house. Then he was asked to go and do youth service in Niger State. They now brought a machine that has to look about the tooth. Nobody in the whole of that state could operate the thing. He looked at it. He said, while he was in school, in second year, they used this machine as a practical something. That's what they played with. They have the more sophisticated one now. And the boy went there. The Oyibo man was talking. The boy told his, this in the hospital, the chief medical director, that he can operate the machine very well. So when they said, do you have anybody? The boy came. The governor like, what is this boy coming? The boy operated it and do everything. The man that brought the machine said he even did it more than myself. So the boy was given a permanent job to now teach. So what happened is that we are 10 years behind.
Only. And you say 10 years behind in the health sector. You know, most of the ultrasound machines we use here were last used in the 70s and 80s abroad.
So that's the thing. Let us go back.
Even this MRI scanner we talk about here, as at 15 years ago, 25T was being used at India. Today, as at 2015, Indians stopped using MRI scanner to detect cancer. They use PET CT scanner. And not even one unit of PET CT scanner is in Nigeria.
It's in anywhere in Nigeria.
So what are you telling me? We are decades behind, not 10 years.
So let us go back. Let us go back.
All right, we can actually go on and on, but our time is fast spent on the show this morning. We'd like to thank you so much for young men for coming here. And of course, gentlemen, okay.
Tinubu is less than 10 years older than me.
Okay, as the new president is being sworn in our country today, we've talked much on what they should look at as they pilot the affairs of the nation. Thank you so much, John, for being here. Sir John Ifejirika, thank you for your time this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Honorable Ejike Okechukwu. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's just about it on Good Morning Anambra show. We'll be joining Abuja right away for the inauguration of the new government.